Welcome to Shatter.
You don't have to hug me anymore. She said it like a joke, like I wasn't supposed to hear. But I did. And in that moment, something inside me died. I was walking past our bedroom, just headed to the kitchen to get a glass of water. The hallway was quiet, the way it always is at that hour. I wasn't eavesdropping. I wasn't suspicious. I was tired. Normal. Just trying to get through another Tuesday night. But then I heard her voice. Soft. Warm. Private. Not for me. It's just I don't feel anything when he touches me anymore, she whispered, then laughed. It's like I'm forcing myself to go through the motions. That laugh, light, detached, almost sweet, cut through me sharper than any scream ever could. It was the sound of someone already gone, someone who'd made peace with their betrayal. I stopped moving, half a step from the doorframe. My hand still gripped the glass so tight I thought it might shatter. She was lying on our bed, her legs dangling in the air, swinging lazily. Phone pressed to her ear. Wearing my hoodie. Not lingerie. Not something special. Just something that used to mean something. I didn't breathe. I just stood there and listened. Of course I want to see you again, she said. I just have to be careful. He's not stupid. She didn't say my name. She didn't need to. I was he now. The afterthought. My vision narrowed. My heart didn't race. No adrenaline. Just silence, sharp and suffocating. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was clarity. The kind that makes your whole world tilt sideways. And the worst part? It wasn't even the words. It was her voice. The tone. The freedom in it. Like she was relieved. Like she had finally admitted what she'd wanted to say for months. I backed away from the door. No, I didn't confront her. Didn't scream. Didn't walk in and demand who the hell she was talking to. Because I realized something. She expected that. She was prepared for the drama. The scene. The apology she could fake. The tears she could weaponize. But what she wasn't ready for was indifference. So I walked to the kitchen. I set the glass down on the counter. And I made a promise I didn't even whisper aloud. From this moment forward, she doesn't get my anger. She doesn't get my confusion. She doesn't get anything. She wanted distance? Good. She was about to learn what real distance felt like. The kind where you still sleep in the same bed. But the man beside you is already gone. The kind where the silence isn't passive. It's surgical. I stopped being her husband that night. Not legally. Not publicly. But emotionally? Spiritually? Gone. The next morning, I acted normal. Made coffee. Left early for work. No small talk. No affection. She barely noticed. Of course she didn't. She was still high off her little secret life. But that was the beginning. Not of a breakdown. Of a strategy. Because if she thought she knew me, if she thought I'd always be the soft one, the steady one, the fool who begged for scraps of attention, she was about to see someone she never met before. The version of me that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't forgive, only calculates. And when the time comes, doesn't leave quietly, leaves permanently, and makes sure she never forgets it. The first thing I did was nothing. I didn't storm out. I didn't ask who he was. I didn't even change my routine. Because silence is quieter than rage. But it's so much more effective. The morning after I heard her betray me, I acted like I hadn't heard a thing. I got out of bed before her, showered, brewed coffee like always, even packed her lunch. I handed it to her at the door. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek. I felt nothing. She walked out, humming some stupid tune, probably texting him before she even hit the car. She thought she was clever. She wasn't. She thought I was passive. She was about to learn what calculated feels like. That week, I stopped doing the things that made me, me. The thoughtful gestures. The random compliments. The way I used to pull her close at night even when we fought. Gone. I didn't go cold. I went hollow. I became the background noise in her life. Still there. Still present. But distant in a way she couldn't name yet. At first, she didn't notice. She was still riding the high of her little secret. Her phone never left her side. Her face lit up at odd hours. She spent longer in the bathroom, longer getting dressed. She thought she was being discreet. She wasn't. At dinner, I ate without a word. Didn't ask how her day was. She didn't ask either. Why would she? She already had someone asking. Nights were different now. We used to fall asleep wrapped around each other. Now, I rolled on my side, faced the wall, said good night with no warmth. She didn't say it back. Good. Because I wanted her to get comfortable. I wanted her to think I didn't know. That I was just busy or tired or detached, the way men get when they're distracted by life. She was used to being the center. She thought I was just orbiting a little farther away for now. She didn't realize the gravity had already broken. It took 4 days before she noticed the first crack. "Hey," she said one morning as I stood by the sink rinsing my coffee mug. "Everything okay?" I turned, met her eyes, and smiled. Not a warm smile. Not angry either. Just empty. "Yeah," I said. "Why wouldn't it be?" She hesitated. She was waiting for more. I gave her nothing. Just a shrug. Then I grabbed my keys and left. No kiss. No goodbye. In that silence, it started to grow. She felt it first during one of our old traditions. Friday movie night. She came home to find me on the couch already watching something, blanket over my legs, drink in hand. "You started without me?" I didn't pause the movie. Didn't look up. Just said, "Didn't think you'd be interested." She stood there for a second too long, like she couldn't decide if she should sit beside me or leave the room. She sat, but at the far edge of the couch. Good. Let her feel what it's like to be alone, with someone right beside you. The next night, I got home later than usual. She was waiting. "Where were you?" I shrugged. "Out." "With who?" "Just people." Her eyes narrowed. "People." I met her gaze. "Yeah, people." And then I walked away. Calm. Controlled. Absolute. Let her imagine. Let her spiral. Because the longer I played silent, the more she would start to speak. Not to confess. No, she wasn't ready for that. But to panic. To wonder when exactly she lost control. I was no longer her husband. I was the echo in the room, the shadow beside her, the quiet question in her head. Does he know? And that question was going to eat her alive. By the second week, I wasn't just quiet. I was absent. Still in the same room. Still sleeping in the same bed. Still making coffee in the morning. But emotionally, I was gone. And that silence? It wasn't a pause anymore. It was a strategy. I spoke in short, polite phrases. Kept my phone close. Stopped asking about her day. Stopped caring what time she came home. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to watch her unravel. At first, she pretended not to notice. Maybe she thought it was a phase. A mood. Some temporary emotional fog I'd snap out of. She was wrong. Her first attempt to test the waters came on a Tuesday night. I was reading. Calm. Focused. Not thinking about her. Not pretending to care. She walked in with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. Set them gently on the coffee table. "We haven't done this in a while," she said. "Thought maybe we could talk." I didn't look up right away. I wanted her to sit in the silence she created. Finally, I met her eyes. "I'm heading to bed," I said, and stood up. I didn't touch the wine. I didn't ask what she wanted to talk about. I just left. She sat there alone with 2 full glasses. 1 woman. 2 shadows. No answers. It was subtle, but I saw the crack. She stayed on the couch longer that night, pretending to scroll through her phone. But I could feel the weight in the walls, the sudden, growing fear that I wasn't reacting the way she expected. She knew something was wrong, but she still didn't know how wrong. The next morning, she touched my arm while I was getting dressed. Lightly, gently, like it used to mean something. I flinched. Just enough. She pulled her hand back like I'd burned her. Didn't say anything. Just stood there for a moment, watching me button my shirt like I was a stranger. She left the room first. The silence was no longer mine alone. Now it was hers, too. And it was starting to choke her. She tried again 2 days later. "I was thinking we could go out this weekend," she said at dinner. "Try that new place you mentioned a while ago." That was a test. A last-ditch offer to check if she still had any grip left on me. "I'm not feeling it," I said, without looking up from my plate. I didn't ask her what she wanted. Didn't counter with another plan. Just a quiet no. That night, she sat on the bed for a long time before turning out the light. Back to me, as usual. Only this time, I wasn't even sure she was breathing. The stillness was too controlled. Too careful. Like she was trying not to cry. But I didn't care. She had given herself to someone else. Now, she had to live with the version of me that no longer tried. I stopped answering her texts during the day. Stopped leaving reminders. Stopped refilling her gas tank when I noticed it was low. Little things. But they mattered. Because those little things were what made me different. The quiet care. The invisible loyalty. And now that I was gone, she finally saw the weight of what she discarded. She wanted space. She was getting miles of it. And every inch was colder than the last. It happened on a Sunday. She dropped her phone. Not just a clumsy slip. It was the way she picked it up. Fast, panicked, like she was afraid it might explode. We were in the kitchen. I was making coffee. She was scrolling, pretending to read something. Then a message must have popped up, because suddenly her whole body tensed, and the phone hit the floor. She scrambled for it. Too fast. Like instinct kicked in before logic could catch up. That was the first glitch. She looked up, smiled too wide, too fake, and said, "Wow, I'm such a klutz." I didn't respond. Just sipped my coffee, watching her over the rim of the mug like I was watching a play I'd seen before, only this time, I finally knew the ending. She left the room quickly, and I didn't follow. That's when I knew she was hiding something bigger than guilt. She was afraid, not of me, of what I might know. The cracks kept coming. Her screen was always face down now. She started carrying her charger in her purse. She turned off notifications completely. She even changed her phone's lock code. Cute. She thought it mattered. But I already knew where to look. You see, when you stop reacting, people reveal themselves. They overcompensate. They try to manipulate the silence. That week, she started asking casual questions. "You've been quiet lately. Everything good at work? Who were you texting earlier? I thought I heard you laughing." She was fishing. Carefully. Like someone tiptoeing across a frozen lake, hoping it won't crack. I gave her nothing. Just vague shrugs and one-word answers. Let her build her own paranoia. Because I didn't need to yell. I didn't even need to guess. I just needed time. And I was very patient. Then came Rachel. Her friend. Loud. Always slightly too familiar with everyone. The kind of woman who overshared in every group setting. I ran into her by accident at a grocery store. She froze when she saw me. Not guilty. Not awkward. Surprised. "Oh," she said. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Why not?" I asked, like it was a normal question. She opened her mouth like she was about to say something, then stopped herself. "Just figured you'd be working or something." Then she smiled too fast, waved, and walked away. I stood there, holding a bottle of olive oil, staring after her. And the thought clicked into place. Why would Rachel expect me to be gone? What did she think my wife was doing when I wasn't around? That night, I checked our shared calendar. We'd always used it to coordinate simple things, dentist appointments, dinners, travel dates. Lately, it had been filled with vague entries. Creative consult, wellness day, strategy session. Words that sounded important but meant nothing, especially for someone with no job, no business, no strategy. I asked about it once. Casually. She smiled. "It's just personal stuff. You wouldn't be interested." That's when I knew for sure. She had built a second life. Carefully, quietly, but not carefully enough. I didn't go looking through her phone that night. Not yet. Because before you strike, you gather. Before you break someone's world, you build the case like a prosecutor. No drama. No guesses. Only evidence. And I was going to collect every piece. The phone was never out of her hand now. She even brought it into the shower. Once, that used to be cute. Now, it was pathetic. She was careful. I'll give her that. But no one's perfect. Especially when they're getting sloppy from comfort. Because that's what infidelity breeds: carelessness. A week after the grocery store run-in with Rachel, it happened. We were in bed. She was in the bathroom, drying her hair. I was pretending to scroll through a news app, but mostly I was just listening to the faint hum of the dryer. That's when her phone lit up beside me. Just one preview. No name. Just an initial. "Tonight was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." I didn't move. Didn't even blink. Just stared at the message until it faded from the screen like a ghost trying to vanish. And still, I said nothing. She came out of the bathroom smiling, wrapped in a towel, humming to herself. She didn't notice the notification. Didn't notice the change in the air. She thought she was still in control. She wasn't. Because that message changed everything. Up until now, I've been playing defense. Passive silence. Strategic withdrawal. But now I had a name. A thread. Something to pull. And that was all I needed. The next morning, I called in sick to work. She left for hers like nothing was wrong, blew me a half-hearted kiss, and said, "Don't forget to rest." Right. The moment her car left the driveway, I opened my laptop. First stop, our phone bill. She never questioned it. I handled all the accounts. The number showed up instantly, repeated calls and texts at odd hours. Late nights. Lunchtime bursts. Even during trips she claimed were solo spa weekends. I copied the number, dropped it into a reverse lookup tool. And there he was. Michael. Mid-level project consultant. Married. Clean cut. in that plastic LinkedIn way. His profile was full of beach photos, motivational quotes, and tailored suits. The kind of guy who'd quote Gary Vee in bed. I almost laughed. He wasn't better than me. He wasn't richer or stronger or smarter. He was just new, untouched by responsibility, untested by reality. A blank slate she could project her fantasy onto. But he wasn't the enemy. Not really. She was. Because Michael didn't take vows. She did. I spent the next few days building the case. I wasn't obsessive. I was exact. Downloaded backups. Pulled shared photo data from the cloud she forgot I had access to. Checked timestamps. Patterns. Locations. I followed her once, not close. Just enough to confirm. She said she had a business consult at a hotel downtown. I parked 3 blocks away and watched from across the street. She wasn't meeting a client. She was meeting him. I watched them check in, 15 minutes apart. Watched her smile like a teenager trying to look innocent. She thought she was being clever. She thought she was in control. But what she didn't realize was that I'd already stopped being her husband. Now, I was her shadow, and I was watching her life come apart piece by piece. There's a kind of quiet that only comes when you know exactly what you're doing. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't doubting. I wasn't hoping for her to change. That part of me was gone. And what replaced it? Focus. I had the name, the number, the face. Now, I needed proof. Not for yelling, not for screaming, but for precision. Because if she wanted a fantasy, something reckless, something cheap and breathless, she could keep it. But she was about to learn what reality tasted like when it arrived in a sealed envelope. I hired a private investigator. Found him online, but he came highly recommended. Discreet. Fast. Ruthless. We met once. In person. Small cafe. I laid everything out. The dates, the messages, the names, the routine. He didn't ask if I was sure. He'd seen this before. A lot of men like me, silent, broken looking at first. But underneath that, fire. He gave me a quote. I didn't blink. I paid up front. Then I went home, sat across from her at dinner, and listened to her tell me about her wellness retreat next weekend. It's for clarity, she said. Disconnecting from everything. I think it'll really help me feel grounded again. Grounded? Right. She smiled while she chewed. Played with her wine glass. Talked like she was floating, untouchable. She had no idea. She thought the storm was over. She didn't realize I was just moving the clouds into place. It took the PI 3 days. 3. Photos. Screenshots. Video footage. Them at the hotel. Checking in together. Holding hands at the parking garage. A blurry kiss in the elevator. Her laughing at something he said while unlocking the room. He got shots of them leaving the next morning too. Hair messy. Sunglasses on. The look of people who thought they'd gotten away with something. I watched every frame. Not with pain. Not with jealousy. With detachment. Like I was reviewing security footage from a robbery. Because that's what it was. She didn't just betray me. She stole from me. Time. Energy. Loyalty. Years I'll never get back. I saved everything. Created a private folder. Labeled it something boring. Uploaded backups to the cloud. Printed copies and sealed them in an envelope. Kept a spare in my car. It wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. Because confrontation is a one-time weapon. You only get one clean shot. And when I finally pulled the trigger, I wanted it to shatter everything. Funny thing? The day before I made my move, she tried to flirt. Not desperate. Just subtle. She sat next to me on the couch for the first time in weeks. Close. Her leg touching mine. Turned her head slowly and said, "You've been different lately." I shrugged. Different how? I don't know, she said, trying to sound playful. Distant. Mysterious. I smiled, eyes on the TV. Is that a bad thing? She paused. No. She thought she was still playing the game. She didn't know the game was over. She was already standing in the wreckage. She just hadn't seen the flames yet. She came home humming. That same soft, cheerful tone she always used when she thought she had me wrapped around her finger. Bag over her shoulder. Hair curled just right. Lip gloss still fresh. She thought she was winning. She didn't know the war had already ended. I was in the living room when she walked in. Calm. Watching something on TV I didn't care about. Just waiting. Hey, babe, she said, casual. Miss me? I looked up. Smiled, the way I used to. The one she'd forgotten how to read. Yeah, I said. How was the retreat? She lit up. Talked for a few minutes about the cabin. The trees. The silence. The food. She didn't mention Michael. Of course not. When she asked what I'd been up to, I shrugged. Just getting some clarity. She didn't notice the double meaning. That night, she brushed her teeth, humming again, towel wrapped around her. I waited until I heard the faucet shut off. Then I walked into the bedroom and placed the envelope on her pillow. Just one. Thick. Heavy. Inside, screenshots, dates, call logs, surveillance photos. Everything. I sat back down on the edge of the bed, waiting. Calm. Still. The bathroom door opened. She stepped into the room, still drying her hair. She saw the envelope immediately. Stopped. Her eyes darted from the pillow to me. "What's this?" she asked, her voice already tighter than before. I didn't answer. She picked it up, opened it slowly. I watched her face closely. The first few pages, just confusion. Then her hands began to tremble. The color drained from her face. The silence in the room shifted. No longer peaceful. Now it was loaded. "Where did you?" she started, but the sentence collapsed. She knew. She flipped through photo after photo. Timestamp after timestamp. Michael's face. Her smile. The hotel entrance. The door closing behind them. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just stood there. Frozen. Then finally, her voice cracked. "It wasn't. I didn't mean for." I raised a hand. Didn't yell. Didn't move. "Don't," I said quietly. She swallowed. Her lips were trembling now. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, staring at the floor. "You don't have to hug me anymore," I said. Same words I'd heard from her. Repeated back like a verdict. She opened her mouth, maybe to beg, maybe to lie again. I cut her off. "I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to ask why. I'm not going to scream or throw anything." She blinked, waiting for the rest. I looked her in the eyes. "Because I don't care anymore." That's when it hit her. The affair didn't break me. Her irrelevance did. She could handle guilt. She could handle shame. But indifference? That was something she'd never prepared for. She stood there for a long time, clutching the envelope like it might keep her standing. Like paper could fix anything. I walked out of the room, leaving her there. Alone. With every choice she thought I'd never find out about. The next few days were a masterpiece in indifference. I didn't leave. I didn't argue. I didn't threaten to file anything. I just existed. Cold. Still. Unreachable. And it destroyed her. At first, she tried to pretend the confrontation hadn't happened. She made coffee for 2 in the morning. I poured mine down the sink. She asked what I wanted for dinner. I ordered takeout. She lit a candle during one of our usual TV nights, tried to sit beside me like nothing had changed. I stood up and left the room. No anger. No sarcasm. Just a quiet, intentional removal of energy. That was the punishment. Not rage. Just silence. Because she had expected the opposite. A meltdown. A war. What she got was something far worse. A man who had stopped caring. I'd catch her watching me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. Her eyes would linger just a second too long, like she was trying to find the version of me she used to control. But he was gone, buried in the same silence she had once weaponized. She tried once, just once, to talk. "I know I messed up," she said one evening, her voice trembling. "But this, us, we don't have to end like this." I looked up from my book. "We already did." She blinked, like she didn't understand the words. Then her eyes welled up. But I didn't reach for her. Because I wasn't hers anymore. The worst part for her? It wasn't what I said. It was what I didn't say. Every rejection. Every unanswered question. Every silent exit. They weren't reactions. They were boundaries. And for the first time in years, she had no map for me. A week passed. Then came the night I heard her crying in the kitchen. Not the kind of tears meant to be overheard. Loud, manipulative sobs looking for pity. No, these were quiet, jagged, real. But I didn't go to her. I stayed in the living room, flipping through my phone. Let her drown in the stillness. She came in a few minutes later, eyes red, lips tight, trying to pretend like she hadn't just collapsed on the other side of the wall. I didn't acknowledge her. She stood there for a while, like she might say something. Then she turned and went to bed. Alone. She started slipping. Her schedule changed. She got up later. Forgot to run errands. Skipped showers. Wore the same sweater for days. She stopped talking to friends. The texts slowed. The smiles faded. Even the perfume she wore every day disappeared. She was unraveling. And I didn't offer a single thread to hold on to. Because this was the beginning of her descent. Into the same emptiness she handed me the night she whispered to someone else that she didn't feel anything when I touched her. The difference now? She wanted my attention, and I didn't need hers. 2 weeks after the envelope, I started packing. Not all at once. Quietly. Strategically. Drawer by drawer. Cabinet by cabinet. Just the essentials. What mattered. What I wanted in my new life. The rest? I left behind. Like dead weight. I wasn't trying to take anything from her. I was taking me. She didn't notice at first. Or maybe she did, but didn't want to believe what she was seeing. An empty spot in the closet. Fewer shoes by the door. The absence of my cologne on the bathroom shelf. The ghost of who I used to be evaporating in real time. Then came the night she got home and found me zipping the last bag. She froze. Wait, what are you doing? I didn't answer. Where are you going? Still nothing. She stepped forward, voice cracking. Can we talk? Please. I finally turned to her. Calm. Still. Just like the night I handed her the envelope. I smiled. Not kindly. Just enough to remind her this wasn't a conversation. It was a conclusion. We already did. That was all I said. Then I walked past her. She didn't follow. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. Because in that moment, she knew. There were no more words that could save her. No more nights she could fix with a smile or an apology. I was done. I didn't block her. Not yet. I wanted her to try. To text. To call. To send a desperate message asking, can we just talk? And when she did, a few hours later, I let the notification sit there. Unread. Unanswered. I let her sit in the echo of the silence she used to weaponize against me. Only now, it wasn't passive. It was final. The next day, I went to the bank. Unlinked accounts. Separated finances. No drama. Just clean math. The joint credit card? Canceled. Streaming services? Transferred. Health insurance? Switched to individual. Her world, once stitched together by my invisible labor, began to fray. She didn't even know how deep it ran. Didn't know how many things I quietly maintained while she played house with another man. Now she'd feel every single thread snap, one by one. I filed papers that Friday. Didn't serve them yet. Just filed. Prepared. This wasn't about humiliation. I didn't want revenge. I wanted distance. Legal. Emotional. Total. That night, she called again. Left a voicemail. I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we just go back? Back? To what? To being ignored? To being tolerated until someone more exciting popped up? I deleted the message without listening to the rest. Because there was no going back. There was only forward. And she wasn't part of that direction anymore. She came home Monday to a sealed envelope on the kitchen counter. This time, it wasn't just photos. It was divorce papers. Served. Official. Irreversible. Stamped and waiting beside her favorite coffee mug. She texted me within minutes. Are you serious right now? You're blowing this out of proportion. You can't just walk away from everything. But I could. And I had. No explanation. No response. Just the sound of her world collapsing behind me while mine got quieter. Lighter. She tried to call. I didn't answer. She emailed. I blocked the domain. Then came the messages through mutual friends. She's not doing well. She thought you'd come around. She regrets everything. Of course she did. But regret doesn't come with a rewind button. It comes with consequences. And for the first time in her life, she had to live with hers. I didn't humiliate her. Didn't destroy her online. Didn't post receipts. Didn't scream about what she did to anyone who'd listen. I just stopped protecting her. Which, for someone like her, was worse than any revenge. I sent everything to Michael's wife anonymously. The photos. The texts. The hotel timestamps. Last I heard, she took the kids in the house. Michael? Gone. He ghosted my wife 2 weeks after I left. No goodbye. No more motel rooms. No more cheap fantasies. Just silence. How poetic. She moved into a one-bedroom across town. I didn't visit. Didn't drive by. Didn't care. A friend of a friend mentioned she's seeing a therapist now. Working on rebuilding her self-worth. Good. Let her start from scratch. Let her see what life is like when no one wakes up early to make her coffee. When there's no warm hand reaching for hers at night. When her name stops being the center of someone's world. That's what she wanted, right? Freedom. Well, now she had it. Months passed. Then one day, I got a message from an unknown number. Just 3 words. Can we talk? I didn't reply. Because by the time someone asks that, they're already drowning. And I don't rescue people who pushed me overboard. The last time I saw her was at a coffee shop downtown. By accident. I was waiting for my drink. She walked in behind me. No makeup. Hair pulled back. Simpler than I remembered. She froze. I turned. Met her eyes. Nodded once. You look good, she said, quiet. I smiled. I feel good. She searched my face for something. A crack. A softness. Anything. There wasn't any. I stepped toward the door. She opened her mouth. Maybe to say sorry. Maybe to say please. I didn't wait. Just one last thing, over my shoulder. You once said I'd get affection when you felt like giving it. I paused. Turns out, I felt like leaving instead. And I walked out. The sun hit my face as the door shut behind me. Her voice didn't follow. Because she knew. I wasn't coming back. Not ever. Been through it. When they crossed the line, and you made sure they felt it.